You know the feeling. You walk away from a meeting, a negotiation, or a hard conversation, and you realize you didn't really say what you wanted to say. You just reacted. The other person set the pace, decided the agenda, and you just followed along, hoping it worked out. It is easy to assume that the people who effortlessly command a room were simply born with a gift, but the research points to something else entirely. Every conversation has a hidden architecture, and navigating it is a learnable skill. Right now, I want you to grab a pen and think of one specific, difficult conversation you have coming up. We are going to use that as our test case to build a 5-step checklist. By applying this exact framework, you strip away the guesswork. You stop walking in cold and hoping for a good outcome, and you become the proactive architect of your interactions. Step 1 is to set the frame. Think of this as your required prep routine before the interaction even begins.
A frame is the emotional and contextual lens for which a conversation is understood. Look at your notes and decide how you want to open. You can set a collaborative tone by stating, "I want to talk because I actually respect this relationship." You can signal optimism with, "I'm bringing this up because I think we can solve it." Or to de-escalate tension immediately, start with, "I want to hear your side first." Stating this intention clearly out loud prevents the conversation from getting derailed by whatever random mood the other person happens to be in. You establish the baseline. This brings us to step 2. Drop the anchor. This animation illustrates a cognitive bias called the anchoring effect. Whatever number, idea, or position is introduced first acts as a psychological reference point. Notice how every subsequent response measures itself against that initial drop. Moving first is a distinct tactical advantage. Look back at your upcoming conversation and write down your ideal outcome. Your goal is to introduce this position early and clearly. You are not making a demand, you are simply establishing the starting point. Do not wait to see what the other person offers. We often let the other person speak first, thinking it makes us look flexible or polite, but you are actually handing over your leverage in the first 30 seconds. Moving first with a deliberate frame and a clear anchor forces the other party to react to your reality, rather than the other way around. Step 3 is to deploy strategic silence. The hardest part of this step is timing. You must do this the exact moment after you deliver your anchor. Make your point, and then stop talking. The human brain experiences an involuntary pull to fill dead air. By holding your silence, you create a quiet, controlled tension. The other person will scramble to fill that void, and their unscripted response is almost always more revealing than anything they would have said otherwise. Do not sabotage this by talking too much.
Resist the urge to panic talk, over-justify your argument, or add extra sentences just to rescue your counterpart from an uncomfortable pause. Once the other person responds, you will likely hit some resistance. Step 4 is ask, don't tell. This is your strategy for moments when you need to actually change their mind. If you present logical evidence and tell them they are wrong, they will dig in further. This happens because of psychological reactance, an automatic defense mechanism that triggers the second someone feels they are being told what to think. You solve this by using the Socratic Method. By asking targeted questions, you guide them to the conclusion on their own. As we see in this animation, telling someone what to do is like pushing on a pull door. Asking questions completely bypasses that resistance. Check your notes again. Take 2 statements you plan to make and rewrite them as questions. Instead of declaring, "You are wrong about these numbers," ask, "What would change your mind about this data?" Instead of stating, "We need to run the project my way," ask, "What do you think would happen if we tried it this approach?" By replacing statements with questions and replacing panic with silence, you take the other person's natural resistance and make it work in your favor. Now we reach step 5, control the close. Everything you have done so far is useless if you abandon your strategy in the final 30 seconds and just let the conversation fade out. This chart illustrates the peak end rule. Psychologists have found that human memory discards the average experience of an event. Instead, people remember 2 specific moments, the peak emotional spike and exactly how things felt at the end of an interaction. To lock in the gains of your conversation, you must take 3 actions as you close. First, summarize the key decision clearly. Second, assign an immediate next step. And third,
End with intentional warmth. Add this script to your notes right now so the meeting does not trail off vaguely. I'm glad we talked about this. We will proceed with X, and I will follow up by Thursday. Compare that clean finish to the reactive default. When an interaction lacks a landing gear, both parties walk away feeling unresolved, wondering if anything was actually decided. By taking control of those final words, you dictate exactly how the other person will feel about you long after they leave the room. Take one last look down at your notes. You now have a complete architectural plan for your upcoming high-stakes meeting. You know how to set the frame. You know to drop the anchor first. You are prepared to hold your silence, ask guiding questions, and control the close. There is no neutral ground in human communication. You are always either controlling an interaction or you are being controlled by it. Take this checklist into your target conversation today and watch the dynamic shift entirely in your favor.